Hello, Pablo. Welcome to this first interview in the channel. You are my first special guest in this opportunity. Thanks for joining this meeting. Okay, Pablo, introduce
Yeah.
yourself, please.
Okay. First of all, I have to say thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to me to be the first one that is in this program in this channel for the interview. It's a pleasure. I feel very happy to be here. So thank you, Honor. I really appreciate you so much. So yeah, my name is Pablo. I am from Argentina. Actually, I'm living in Buenos Aires. I am doctor. I am working on emergency department, maybe 3 or 4 times per week. And during the day, I am studying my residency in psychiatry in a Universidad UCES, and we used to be in one of the most important hospitals here in Buenos Aires that is called Moyano, that is specific for psychiatric patients. And also, I'm self-taught learner of English. Yeah, that is, I think, all. Yeah.
Thanks for introducing yourself, Pablo. Pablo is a doctor from Argentina and is also my friend, by the way.
Yeah.
So, Pablo, as you are an English learner, we will talk about English learning today.
Perfect.
So, I
Yeah.
will start with the first question of the interview. This is about why to learn English. What was your motivation to learn English in the first place?
Yes, my passion for English language started maybe when I was ending my secondary school. I remember that at that moment I had bought a book to study some grammar, to make some exercise. But when I started to learn English in the best way possible, I have to say was maybe 3 years ago, because my objective was to move to another country and to move to Europe, or more specific, to move to Scotland. That is my dreamland. Still is my
Mhm.
dreamland nowadays. So that was my objective after ending up my university and received my degree as a doctor. My objective is wanting to move to the UK and start my residency there. So that was my motivation. That was the engine for that. So yeah, that was my.
Pablo, do you still want to move to Europe or you are just continuing studying English just for improving your skills?
I am not sure what will be happening to me in the future, to be honest. But
Mhm.
yeah, maybe if I have the possibility, you only have to have the all the skills possible, I will say, in order to work, to study. And I think English is an international language. So, for example, in my case, maybe I don't have the possibility to work as a doctor overseas. However, maybe if I know English, maybe I could work in another field with using this international language.
I think English is very important even though we don't plan to move or we don't have the opportunity to move to another country. English is still useful, right?
Yes, of course, indeed. English is a really amazing tool that you can access to nowadays by the social media, to the internet, to meet a lot of people from around the world. I had meet people from every corner of the globe. I have to say, we using this international language, we meet each
Yeah,
other maybe 4 years ago in an international group from people from Russia. Do you remember that?
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's quite important. English is one of the most important things that you have to do. You must have to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the ones that don't know, I know Pablo from a WhatsApp group where we
yeah,
used to practice English. So we can say that we met each other just by the fact that we both speak English. Oh,
yeah.
Pablo,
It was
I have
amazing. Yeah.
one question more about it. What do you think about the quality of information in English?
I think that is a tough question to answer, but I will say that at least for in the field of medicine, and I think in the field of every career or every area, the if you want to be up to date, you have to learn English, because more of the information, the updating information, the lastly news are in English. The last research that have been conducted in other parts of the globe are in English. So you want to be with the last news, with the last research, with the last treatment, at least in my field, you should learn English, because even you have to wait for the translation version in your own language, it will be you will have to wait for that, maybe 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, English is very important. For example, in my case, I have learned programming through English. I found that the quality of information in English about programming is very good compared to the Spanish language, that is our native language. As well, in the field of civil engineering, I've found many materials in English that were very clear, and I have used those materials for creating some videos on my channel and also promoting some services. So English
Yeah.
is very key when it comes to finding good information. Hmm?
Yes. Yes. Of course. For sure. Yeah.
Pablo, do you think that English helped you view the world more widely? Does English open the mind?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. When I started to talking with people from around the globe, because I would say friends from Brazil, from Canada, from India, from Morocco, from Nigeria, from South Africa, they taught me how to think in another way, you know? People that live in the other parts of the world, they have their own cultures and their own from this view. So they help me to see the world in a different way because
Pablo, do you
yeah.
think that English makes us see the difference more tolerant? We become more tolerant by learning English and meeting people from different cultures?
Yes, I think English widening our point of view of the things. So it's broadening our capacity to understand other point of view, other angles. So yeah, to me, yes, yes, because
Mhm.
nowadays I know more about the Muslim. For example, I have a lot of friends and are Muslim. It's not it's you can understand the things not only by the fact that you see the things throughout the social media, but you are displaying about some, you are posting some about some hard topics to talk, I would say.
Yeah.
But people that live in that in different
Yeah,
cultures.
I think, for example, in my case, when I started to talk to people from different cultures, I started to accept the differences between their culture and my culture. I think that I became more tolerant about differences, and I don't mind about cultural differences.
Yeah, and also you sometimes realize that you are so busy, you know, and with for example, the place where are you living, you are living, the place where you are living, the kind of community that you have, the rights that you have. So if you compare it, depending on the size, but you realize and you are aware about, okay, I am not so bad, I am listening.
Yeah, that's a cool fact about not only learning English, but learning any other language. We
Yeah.
meet people that is different to us, and we start to make friendship.
Yeah, yes, of
Mhm.
course. Yeah.
Okay, Pablo, let's pass to the next section of this interview.
Okay.
We will talk about how to learn English. I will ask you, how do you learn English?
Yes.
What's your routine or what practices you do for learning
Yeah.
English?
I think that the acquisition of a language is a lasting process. You know, it's an everlasting process. You will never stop to learning a new language because it's your known native language. So learning process is long. There are a lot of ways to acquire a new language. You can go to academy, you can go to the online courses, but by my way, from my experience, I started learning English only with YouTube channels. You know, started grammar YouTube channel. I started to download some PDF books. I have to say that all those my pathway I used by myself. You know, and watching on the social media, speaking groups or talking groups, because there are a lot of people that want to learn English and they don't have enough money to talk with a native speaker.
Yeah.
So you have to take advantage of that and start to looking for that kind of group. We all nowadays with the social media, with the access to the internet, it's quite easy. I will say it's quite easy. Yeah. So that was my way. I used to practice maybe 1 hour per day the speaking part. Also, well nowadays I used to read. I used to read maybe one news per day. In the morning, I used to open news of the UK, for example, and I used to read once a day. And also when I go to the work or when I work, I used to listen the radio in English. It's like a routine, you know, reading, listening, maybe reading. I used to read in 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I don't have enough time. Listening only a podcast to 25 minutes when I come back to the work. Also, I try to talk with people from
Mhm.
the social media, my friends, my international friends, in order to practice. But yeah, that is I used to do. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, Pablo, I see that people think that learning English is just taking a course and then you finish the course and finally you are fluent in a language, in this case, English. But that's not the reality. We have
Yeah, yeah.
to study almost every day. We have to be in contact with the language. We don't
Yes.
know until when, but we have to do it almost every single day.
Yeah, you have to keep fresh in some way. You
Yeah.
have to keep working. It's like a muscle, you know. And when you are going every single day to make some workout or to the gym, your muscle is still strong. However, if you stop, your muscle start to become weak. So yeah, that is something like this. It's something like this. You have to try to practice every single day, at least a little. Yeah, and if you don't have enough time, I remember that maybe 2 years ago, I have a long pathway to my work, maybe 1 hour per day, 1 hour to go, 1 hour to come. So my routine was to by Bluetooth to put the radio to BBC Radio or
Mhm.
LBC, another radio from London, and I used to listen the radio to listen in the radio in my way. So that was taking advantage of my little time because I don't have enough free time. So that would be
Yeah.
a good resource.
Yeah, Pablo, and you said something related to the fact that learning a new language has a beginning, but maybe not an end, right? We don't
Yes, of
know until when we will continue studying or practicing.
Yeah, I think that you will never stop to learning phrases, to learning some vocabulary, and to make mistakes also, and to try to improve
Mhm.
yourself. As we talked it maybe I would say 2 months ago, and you told me a phrase
Mhm.
that reminds every single day, and you told me, okay, Pablo, this is not your native language, so be patient with you, relax,
Mhm.
try to be your best, but don't force yourself to don't be frustrated because in some moments the English process acquisition of this language is a little frustrating sometimes because you don't see the
Yeah.
progress. But if you keep working, someday you will get up and you feel okay. Today I'm better than what 2 months ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Pablo, do you think reading is important for improving our English skills?
Yes, reading is the best way to acquire, to get new vocabulary, to get new words, to improve your vocabulary, to remind some grammar skills. Yeah, I think, yeah, see, yes, it's of
Mhm.
course, reading is quite important.
What kind of books are you reading currently? You told me that you
Uh,
were reading some books.
Yeah, nowadays I am reading a book that is called How to Talk. It's a book that is from the United States, and the book is basically explain how to stand up in front of a crucial conversation. A
Mhm.
conversation when the conversation stage or when the conversation gets hard. That is, this book help you to learn this ability
Mhm.
because the author of this book says that communication is the most important skills. You can get your best degree, you can the best certification, your higher notes and score in some exam, in some work, into your
Mhm.
curriculum. But if you don't know how to talk, if you don't know how to communicate properly, you will be in a bad situation, surely.
Yeah, and I think you are learning a lot from that book because you are very fluent in this interview.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, Pablo, let's move on to the final section of the interview. Let's talk
Okay.
about challenges in learning English. Do you think learning English is difficult, or maybe it's just a myth?
I think there is a kind of inertia, when you start learning English, for example, in this case, or English or every single language, because at the beginning you push with all your effort to try to move one step. After that step, it's like a circle, you know. It's like a snowy circle, you know. So it's like you start in bicycle. When you start bicycling, you know, the first one, the first two steps forward are heavy, but the rest is easier. So I think, yeah, at the beginning it's complicated. It's complicated because you don't have enough confidence to affront a conversation in the real life. So I
Mhm.
think this is the most important. If you are self-centered and you are lonely or you are a little shy, it will be a little difficult. But you have to take these kind of things apart from you. Um, take care, take courage, and be brave to affront the situation. When I started talking with people in the social media in a real world, I have to say in English, I talk little. I don't have enough words. I don't have almost anything. I don't know that I only say, oh, yes, oh, of course, because at that
Mhm.
moment I could understand more than I can express myself. You know, I
Yeah.
listening, I hardly understand everything. However, in order to express will be, I found it very difficult to say what I really want to say. Maybe most of the time, I finally end up saying the contrary. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's the first step that my recommendation is to take courage and go for what, you know, open your
Mhm.
mobile phone, you're entering your social media, you go into the Google or YouTube and start watching videos and
Mhm.
start looking for partners to practice.
Yeah,
And
it
be
may be
courage.
a bit difficult to start to learn a new language, not only English, but when we get started, it becomes easier, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely,
So
yeah.
English is like learning any other topic or any other field that you may be not familiar with, and that's difficult at the beginning, but as we get used to this new knowledge, we become more confident and we overcome all the difficulties, right?
Yeah, and you know, an Argentinian scientists say that there is not such a thing like difficult or easy. There is such a thing
Mhm.
as unknown and very known. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Pablo, you told me that you had the opportunity to talk to some Americans or maybe some native speakers in person. How was your experience? Did
Oh,
you
terrible.
struggle so much for talking with them, or was it easy for you?
Yeah, I will say that so 50-50. At the beginning was terrified because you are with that kind of expectative, you know. Okay, I am not the best one in English, but at least I can manage, I can defend myself in this field. But when you are in with I don't know, in a real situation, no, in the social media we are another
Mhm.
no native speaker trying to improve. But in a real life, with a native speaker that they don't try to improve, they talk as fast as they can without any
Yeah,
problem and without
they
any
assume
time.
that you are fluent enough to understand them.
Absolutely, yeah.
They
At the
don't care
beginning,
about your level.
no, no, I'm not at all. Yeah, the beginning to me was frustrating, really, really, because I said, okay, what? They are talking in another language, but I have studied this language. I know how to communicate. Why? I can communicate with people from Nigeria, for example, in English, but I can communicate with the native speaker. But as the time is going on, you get used to that kind of speed,
Mhm.
accent. So yeah, at the beginning it's quite, at least for me, it was difficult. But the way the day is going on, I get used to that. I got used to that. Yeah, I try to manage.
Yeah, maybe difficult to talk about a topic that you are not familiar with, but when you get in trust, you know more the person you are talking to, you start to feel more comfortable and just speak.
Yes, yes, yes. You don't have to stop believing yourself. I think confidence and
Mhm.
self-esteem is almost 99% of your process when you're learning
Yeah,
a new
uh,
language.
what we have to keep in mind is that if we don't speak too well as we expect, we have to be patient with us. We
Yeah,
will get better, we will get to know the accent, and the conversations will improve as the time goes by.
Yeah, and that was exactly you told me maybe two
Yeah.
months ago, 2 months ago. Yeah.
I suggest people being patient, but sometimes I am not patient enough with myself. But that's
Okay.
part of the process.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody passes through that. Pablo, people usually get disappointed about not reaching a level or not speaking as they expect. What would you advise to them?
Be patient. Take easy. Take easy
Don't
this
force
process.
yourself, maybe.
Yeah, don't force. Work on your process and don't force too much. Just work. You keep working, learning more, practice, as you say. There are 4 areas in the process: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If you focus maybe one a day to these kind of abilities, at the end of the week you will learn a little bit more than the lesson before, the weeks before. So my advice is that keep working. Don't hesitate. Don't get disillusioned. So just keep working and try to be patient with yourself. It's a process. It's not easy. It's not easy because we are not exposed to the language, to the English language, 24 hours per day as a child at this age. You have to looking for a motivation. If you have to looking for a motivation, something that inspires you to improve, inspire you to get that knowledge, inspire you to, for example, at that moment in my life was to move to the UK. So I was thinking every single day, oh, if I have this kind of conversation there, okay, well, I'm going to study this kind of situation. So I thinking about that. I trying to live in that English world as much as I can because I was working so hard at the moment. But looking for a motivation, looking for a dream. So I will get this in order to get this, you know? So yeah, that is important because you only study by most of the child nowadays, most of the children nowadays in the secondary or primary school. They go to learn English and they don't even have any idea why they are doing that. However, when you are adult, you are project, you are objective, you want to improve your lifestyle, for example, you are focused, you are inspired to do something. My point is that looking for something that inspires you to move forward.
Yeah, your advice is really important, Pablo. You pointed out that when we are getting disappointed, instead of feeling sad or maybe thinking in giving up learning English, we have to keep working, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to
Thank
take
you.
some day off, but after that you have to come back
Oh,
on the
great,
track. Yeah.
great, Pablo. Thanks for sharing your nice knowledge. It was really valuable for me. As I already said, you are my first guest. You are a good friend of mine. So, thanks for joining the meeting, Pablo. And I hope to see you again in next interview where we will talk about another topic that may be interesting for us and for the community.
For sure, for sure. And it was a pleasure to be here. To hear from you, you are one of my best friends, international best friends, I have to say. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to participate in your channel.
Thank you, Pablo. See you
See
next
you.
time.